Hey, welcome back to Mental Game Live. I'm Dr. Bhrett McCabe. Happy to be here. Happy to be talking about something so important tonight and so excited about an awesome guest that we have coming on. Michael Phelps, the greatest Olympic athlete, probably the greatest male athlete of all time, will be joining us in about 12 minutes. And I'm so excited. We've been texting all day, and I'm excited to talk about mental health, mental wellness, all the different sides that go to the mental game. So we're going to talk about what makes your performance great, but also we're going to talk about when that burden gets big and the struggle gets high and you're based in Suckville, and how do you get out of it? And that's one of the things that I think Michael has done such a brilliant job talking about over the years. So we're going to be getting right after that. We're going to be going right into it in about 12 minutes. But before we do that, our normal good, bad, and ugly segment tonight is all going to be about mental health and what you can do, right? Now, before I do that, I have to give a major shout out and congratulations to Coach Patrick Murphy of the Alabama softball program as they advanced to the Super Regionals. Not only did they advance to the Super Regionals, they did it behind the arm of two major pitchers, Jayla Torrance and Montana Phelps. Montana Phelps is the All-American. Jayla will be an All-American next year. Montana went down with a knee injury during the SEC tournament or near the end of the season and was able to come back and pitch in relief. Tremendous mental toughness, but even more than that, Jayla Torrance came and started 2 games in this regional, or 3 games in this regional. I can't remember how many she started, 2, and was flawless, absolutely flawless. And Bash and I are good friends with Coach Murph. I work with the team. I work with the ladies. I'm so excited for them to going back to Oklahoma City to have a chance to compete for the Women's College World Series title. So did you get a chance to watch the game, Bash?
Yeah, I did. It was fantastic. Dude, I saw a tweet, honestly, about game 2 when they ran Montana Phelps out there.
Yeah.
And it's like, because of like the fate thing, she cannot end her career as decorated as she is. She cannot end her career like at Rose Stadium with a knee brace on her knee, like on a walk-off home run or some shit like that. Like, it can't happen.
Yeah, she can't do that. And I'll tell you, we had a lot of conversations going into this week. That is one of the most mentally strong athletes I've ever worked with. She's an elite competitor. I'm talking fire and brimstone elite competitor, somebody who puts it all on the line for her team every single day. And it's so pumped. I'm just so excited to see this. So, man, just how it came down with her on the mound. I know there's a lot of emotions leaving. I don't know where you ended your career. I ended it at Alex Box Stadium. I didn't end it in joy. I ended it in sadness, but to get to do the same. You were at, yeah. Never thought it was going to end like that until it was all of a sudden over. And being a 5th-year player, we were getting blown out by Rice, and I got put in the game for the last 3 innings. So I knew going out there, I was being held back to start the first game of the championship round. And once we got to that point, it was over, and we had to get into what it took. And so I pitched the last 3 innings knowing it was my last there. I remember walking out of the bullpen with being choked up, a little tear in my eye, walking out to the mound, knowing that this was going to be the last time. So
tough.
Yeah. I want to get on our Instagram Live, folks, because let me pull that up. We had a little bit of a technical glitch as we were getting started tonight. The camera just decided not to work when we have a major guest. So I didn't get a chance to bring on our Instagram Live, folks. But I'm going to go pull them over because we have a lot of people who watch us on Instagram Live. Although if you have a question for YouTube, the best way to do it is to come on YouTube, drop a question. You can ask questions of Michael. I've got a bunch of questions that people have pre-submitted, and we're going to be going live with Michael Phelps here in about 10 minutes. So I wanted to dive in a little bit, Bash, before we got started to kind of set the stage about why this is so important. You know, when you look at mental health and mental awareness right now, you know, the last couple of years have been the most trying mental health wise in the United States history. There's no question about it. The American Psychological Association has done survey after survey and demonstrated that the last 2 to 3 years have been the most stressful on record. And, you know, we look at that, and a lot of people have been quietly suffering. They've been dealing with the stresses of life, the worries of life and stuff like that for long enough. And for some reason, in the last couple of years, it has just come to a forefront. We know, as I've said before on Mental Game Live, things such as Instagram, Twitter, things that we use every day and what we do are some of the most dangerous effects, particularly for adolescent minds, particularly within females. Well, we have pressure, we have stress, and I just finished my anxiety book. I'm going to go back in and do a round of edits. You had a chance to read it. I hope it's impactful. Can you give the people a little idea of what you thought about it?
Yeah, it's outstanding from as someone who has, anxiety in everyday life, but
Yeah.
also some performance anxiety as far as like, playing in front of a lot of people, fear of failure, that sort of thing. It really hits on that. And the thing that resonated for me was just it answers a lot of whys. Like, why does this happen? Why am I feeling this way? But it also, the thing that I think it hits on is there's a lot of actionable items that I think anybody can just throw. Hey, anxiety sucks. Yeah,
Yeah.
but like, how do I combat it? How do I get to the other side of this thing? And I think there's some good stuff in there about how to essentially take it head on and overcome.
Well, I hope it does, and hopefully within a couple months I'll have it ready. I've got a few areas I want to clarify. I want to dig in a little deeper.
Got to
You
design
reading
the
it,
cover.
you've got to design the cover. That won't take you long. But we should have this out hopefully by fall. I would think at the absolute latest. I think it'll be perfect time for when people are going back to school, and that's where we know. Look, a couple stats I want you guys to be aware of when we talk about mental health, because that's one of the concepts we're going to be talking about with Michael Phelps tonight, who's a major advocate for mental health and treatment and access. Um, so, about one of the things to think about: 1 in 5 of U.S. Americans right now are suffering from a mental health disorder. That's anxiety, depression, phobias, you name it, learning disabilities, all the like, right? So 1 out of 5. And 1 out of 5 adolescents are suffering from mental health issues as well. 1 out of 20 to 25 are suffering from severe mental illness. That's schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and debilitating major depressive disorder. Now, when you look at those numbers in the United States, that's equating to about 58 million Americans are suffering from a mental health issue every single year. Now, that's a ton of people. When you take a look at the size of our cities, you take a look at the things that we have in our world, the amount of resources. Depression is the second leading cause of disability in the world. And there's a concept called presenteeism. And presenteeism is when you're suffering from depression, but you continue to go to work, but you don't perform at your best. And we're not just talking like a little off, we're talking significantly off. You show up, but you can't really perform at your best. And presenteeism is not one of the indicators of disability, and yet is one of the biggest drivers of it. So, in other words, they're really not counting it in the all-cause disability in the world, but it's a really big driver, and it's a major drain on the workforce. And particularly if you're suffering from depression, it's a drain. And we used to think, hey, we study and we try to understand why people were in situations and why they were feeling the way they were feeling. It was like, hey, it could be this, it could be that. There's certain things that we know. We know that traumatic life experiences, particularly younger in age, are precursors. And those traumatic life events could be a lot of moves of a family, a parent going in and out of the home, a parent with mental illness, a parent losing their job, violence in the home, or what have you. Poverty, huge. Major stressors that you're going through right now, massive stress could be a major issue. All right. And then we also know that things like some of our lifestyle factors contribute, whether it's excessive drinking, sedentary lifestyle, not exercising, not actively engaging the mind, not doing, not getting out and moving and doing stuff like that. I'm going to sneeze here in a second. Excuse me. And so those are the things to really be aware of. Now, some of the other things that people use to self-medicate suffering, and what we're seeing now is increased use of alcohol, massive increase in marijuana. Marijuana is not an anxiolytic. It doesn't get rid of anxiety. It doesn't treat depression. If you come on here and tell me it helped for you, good luck, all the power to you. But the studies suggest that it actually does the opposite. Okay. Now, that being said, it may work for you. Can't advocate for that. And other stuff like that, self-medicating. Well, we used to look at college, athletes and professional athletes and say, God, they're protected. They're not going to have those issues. And what we do know is that people are going through the same suffering as student athletes, as professional athletes. About 35% of athletes suffer from disordered eating, massive burnout, even symptoms of depression while they're competing. And once you leave your sport, we know we have major issues with regards to transition in life. I know it was hard for me because it was, what am I supposed to compete for? Why do I want to go to the gym if I don't have to get in the gym? I'm not trying to throw harder in the gym anymore. I'm not going to go sit in there in vanity. And, in the CrossFit world, they put your name on that dry erase board. I'm not going to be the guy who's trying to win the dry erase board thing. Okay. I'm in there trying to help myself out and do that, which they are too. And I get it. I'm not knocking it. It's just, that wasn't my competitive juice. So the things you have to look at are, what is it? Well, in a lot of things in life, there's a very delayed gratification associated with it. And when athletes transition from school, they transition from playing to a world that doesn't have immediate gratification when everybody's pulling in the same direction, there could be a very strong sense of loss. I saw it with my dad when he retired from the military, and you see it in a lot of different settings where people struggle in that setup. So it's something to really be aware of. It's very important. Tonight, we're going to talk about that with Michael. Let me know when he comes in and he dials in. He told me he was going to dial in at 7:15 Central. So really excited.
The man's in the green room right now.
The man is in the green room. Well, let's roll the promo for him, and let's bring up Michael. Michael, my man, I hope you're doing great. Thank you for joining me here tonight.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, man. You got a nice little bun going on there, don't you?
Yeah, right. That's everyone comments on it. It's been like 2 years. You want some?
Yeah, I would kill for some. I used to be a day. I had to go get my hair done, believe it or not. Michael, it's an honor to be here. I mean, listen, the introduction goes without saying. The greatest male athlete of all time. I told you that when we were in Tuscaloosa, and you're whatever. You are. What you've done and the way you've inspired. We got a lot of questions. I want to dive into some mental toughness, some mental performance, and then obviously mental health tonight. And thank you for taking the time to do this. It's truly an honor for you to do this. How many world records? 39?
39.
Yeah. What was your most meaningful one?
Should have been 40.
Should have been 40?
I thought and the funny thing behind that is I thought I was breaking my 40th in 2016. I had like a body length lead in the 200 IM, and I was like, oh my gosh, knowing the field like I do, like knowing the other people who I competed against throughout my career like I did, I was like, oh my God, I have to be breaking the world record by a second right now. And I touched the wall and was like, oh, cool. Not even the best time. Fantastic.
Not even the best time. Do you know as a swimmer when you're having your good days, when you're flying through the water?
Yeah, you just have a different feel. I mean, like it's almost like the Matrix feeling, right? Like everything just slows down for that one split second, and it just goes exactly how you planned and how you prepared for it.
Yeah.
If I had to do one favorite one, was that the question?
Yeah. What was your favorite world record?
I guess I have to go my favorite celebration. My favorite celebration was 2009, the 100 fly. I sat on the lane line and smacked my chest and like was just going crazy, smacking the water. And the reason for that was the guy that I beat the year before by 100th of a second at the Olympics. And he said that his suit was way better than mine. So I had to make a little statement, and he poked the bear, and something happened.
You've been known to do that. I mean, there was that famous, and I can't remember who the swimmer was, standing while you were going through. Same person. Who was this guy?
Michael Phelps.
Did he not learn?
I guess not.
I mean, did you need external motivators, or was it totally internal for you?
It helped having external. But for me, I was the hardest person on myself that you could possibly imagine, right? Like for me, I wanted to be the absolute best that I could possibly be. And for me, that was being better than anybody has ever been. So I had to think differently and approach differently than anybody else ever did. So yeah, as long as I was prepared, nobody else mattered.
So you told me, you said when I brought you in to speak to Alabama football, there was an Olympics, your first one, right?
Yeah.
And you got a participation certificate.
Yeah, I got a piece of paper.
That changed it for you. Yeah, tell me about that. Tell that story to our listeners.
So 2000, I'm 15 years old. I'm going to the Olympics, my first international trip, first national team trip.
That was Sydney?
Sydney.
Okay.
Yeah. Where swimming is the #1 sport in that country.
Absolutely.
I didn't even tie my suit.
And your hero was Australian, right? Ian Thorpe?
Thorpe was somebody that I looked up to for sure, because he changed just basically the world in the world of swimming in the Australian world, and that's what I wanted to do in the U.S. world. So, being able to compete in that, like in that venue, like I walked out and I felt the floor shaking and rumbling. I was nervous as could be, and I was kind of like a deer in headlights. But I got 5th, and probably within 0.3 of a second from winning a medal. And they gave me a piece of paper that said congratulations. And that's not really what I wanted,
Mm.
so to say. So that actually motivated me, because my coach the very next day I got back into training, he put on a piece of paper WR, and world record.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to break a world record in 6 months. Guess what happened in 6 months? I broke that world record.
What was the first one?
That was the first one.
What was it? What event?
200 butterfly, 154.92. It was Tom Malchow's before that, and it was at Nationals. I beat him. He was second. And then we both went to World Championship that summer. I broke it again and then won my first World Championships.
So that kind of motivation just sparked you to say, it's possible, but most importantly, I've got to find something up here to do it. Because one of the things I hear from athletes all the time is, I know I have the tools to be successful. I'm just not accessing it. So what gave you that invitation to access it?
I think it's here, but I also think it's here. You know, like,
Yeah.
if it's not here, then there's no way it's here.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because, like, if it's not in your heart, then you're not going to get out of bed every single day on those hard days, on those days where you don't want to do it, right? Because we all have them. There's no secret to that.
Mm-hmm.
If you tell me every day you wake up and you're like, yeah, I feel like $1 million, no, like, you're going to go through ups, downs, this, that, and the other throughout those days. And some of us have tools, and some of us don't. But on those days, you have to find a way to break through. So for me, that was the biggest possible thing. Finding a way to break through on those days where you don't want to break through.
See, that's so critical, though, because so many people see those bad days as a reflection or judgment of themselves versus this is the challenge day. Like, you didn't look for your A+ day, right?
Sure. You can be perfect on those days, and you will be perfect on those days, because everything is firing, right? You got enough sleep, you ate the right things, you're drinking enough water. The list can go on and on and on. But on the days where maybe you stayed up too late because you were studying for an exam, or you have kids, or this, that, and the other, how can you make that next day not a zero? How can you take one step closer to your goal? Whatever that is. For me, it was focusing on the technique, making sure I was nourished. For me, like, I can fluctuate 5 or 10 pounds in a week when I was swimming, and that's not water weight. So for me, how can I make sure I'm cramming those calories into my system when I'm swimming 80 to 100 miles a week? Plus
80 to 100 miles a week.
Plus, on top of that, I'm doing dry land.
So how much would you run?
No, my knees don't run.
Okay. Well, because when I was at LSU playing baseball, the swimmers would be in the water twice a day, and then we'd see them out on the freaking road. It's like, how do you do that?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so you would do bike.
I don't run. I
okay.
mean, like, biking for me was something.
Oh no, me too. I'm with you. I hated it.
Body weight stuff was something that was so big. Core was a big part of the swimming world, and now I'm finding is a massive part in the golf world, because I'm a golf.
100%.
But, like, all those little small pieces, right? Like, my body and what I'm trying to accomplish is a 5,000 piece puzzle. How can I put one piece in at a time each day? If I can do that, nothing else matters. And the way that I can do that is controlling what I can control. If I'm doing that to the best of my ability, nothing else matters.
Okay, but this is the thing that's fascinating, because so many athletes get caught up on measuring every day, and when it's not right, it sets off a panic. And you looked at it differently. You expected it to be off. Yeah. I mean, you talked about visualization, and I've seen the videos that you talking about. You didn't visualize great days, you visualize hard days.
Yeah,
grinding.
You have to, like, because when it happens, you have to know how to approach it and how to react. Right? Because if you're not prepared for it, it's going to feel like it's a freight train.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So for me, it was all about preparation. If I could prepare better than anybody on the planet, then then I have a better chance to be great than anybody else does, because I'm thinking about all of these different things at once.
So when you went to the natatorium and you were in those arenas and you showed up, that was your competitive advantage. That, it's kind of like Kobe, right? Nobody outworked me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Did you know you had it? Did you know you had it?
But in that natatorium, in that arena, I wouldn't think about my preparation, because if I thought about my preparation, that would take away from the actual moment, right? In that moment, I can't I don't like that word because it's a very negative word, and you've heard that story.
Mm-hmm.
You can't control that in that moment. You just got to let it go. Basically, like imagine like you're just in a cage and you're just ready to go. For me, that's what it was. Like I was in this cage. You put me in this cage. When I'm ready to go at the Olympics, World Championships, whatever meet it was, I'm out there and I'm putting on show whatever I've done to prepare for that moment. If it's trash, you're going to see me getting second or third. If it's not, I'm going to break a world record.
You knew that.
Yes.
See, that's what's so, I want people to hear this because the competitors are on this. When you're not validating your preparation in your competition. That's a big trap because I did X, Y, and Z. It should work for me. You used it as if I did X, Y, and Z. Now I have the freedom to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
But also on top of that, I knew where my competitors' weaknesses were probably more than they did because I was more prepared than they were. Right. Mm-hmm. So like for me, like Kavik, like use that race as an example because I literally stared at every single day on the other side of my desk. That finish, winning by 100th of a second. I knew that guy would go out so fast the first 50 that the last 15 meters, it would literally feel like he had a piano on his back.
You knew that.
I could find a way.
You knew he was going to have an incredible adrenaline. He was going to go out so fast to try to whip your ass. And you knew that you would get him in the long run.
As long as I was in the right spot at the right time. So I said, if I was out in 24, Bob and I, my coach, said if I was out in 24:00, I would win the race. I was out in 24:01. I won the race by 100th of a second. So, you know what I mean? Like,
yes,
it's all of those things combined. That's why I say what you're doing every single day is a part of that puzzle. Because if your goal, for me, my goal was a 4-year process, right? Mm-hmm. I'm trying to prepare for an Olympic Games. I have one chance every 4 years in that event to be the best that I can possibly be. So I'm trying to piece that puzzle together over 4 years.
That's a hell of a buildup.
It's crazy, but it was fun.
How did you avoid burnout? Because very high, it said it in the promo video, 5 years without taking a day off. When you talk to the guys at Bama, you were talking about eating in the pool and having to carbo load and people watching everything you were doing. So 5 years, you didn't take a day off.
It's just trying to change things to keep it interesting, right? Like for me, like in the gym, if Keenan, who still writes workouts for me now, like if he was doing the same repetitive stuff, I would just get in the habit and be like, oh, this is stupid. I don't want to do this anymore. Like I'll blow it off. But he kept me engaged. My coach, Bob, kept me engaged. And that was the biggest thing. I was a kid, right? Throughout this whole entire thing, I was an absolute child. I was 15 years when I made my first Olympics, right? Like it's nuts. So
how did you deal with that though? Because that's holy cow. I mean, you didn't have a childhood. You were a phenom at 15.
But like my thing is I wanted to be great. And if it wasn't on me and I wasn't going to do it, then somebody else was. So for me, I saw success obviously at a very young age. And I was like, cool, how far can I run with this? Because I was intrigued. I was passionate. Like I loved what I was doing. So like for me, it was easy to go to practice every single day.
Okay. Can you get that into somebody else? That heart part, because that's a fight that you see parents have in today's thing, right? They don't love it like I did.
For sure. And I think, for me, like, okay, so say my kids want to swim. To be honest, I hope they never swim because I don't think it's fair for them to have to live in my footsteps. I want them to create their own identity. That's what they should do. That's what humans should do. Be who they are. But like for me, like, I don't like my mom never shoved me in the water. She shoved me in the water for water safety. That was it. But she didn't force me to go to practice every single day. Right? Like I went to practice because I loved it. I wanted to make it. Like I wanted to make a change. I wanted to make a difference in the sport. I wanted to be the first to ever do something. That was my goal. And for me to do that, I couldn't take a day off because like the blueprint for that had never been written. I had to recreate history. So I couldn't do what every great had ever done before me. So for me, yes, taking 5 or 6 years without taking a day off, that's what I had to do.
That's no vacations. That's
vacate. Well, what is that word?
Yeah, you didn't do that, did you?
I mean, throughout my career, I had no clue what that was. And I honestly, still to this day, I'm trying to enjoy vacations with my kids because I had 20 plus years of not knowing what a vacation was.
But you wouldn't have wanted to go on one.
Hell no. I wouldn't. Honestly, I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, no shot in hell. Because I wanted to be that person.
So when you retired the first time.
Yeah.
Okay. You stepped away. We're going to talk about the mental health side in a little bit. But then when you made that decision to come back to Rio, and you can tell me to go to hell, but I don't think you were as physically trained. I think you won with your mind. Like, I think there was you were greatly trained. Don't get me wrong. But dude, your mind was, I remember watching those Olympics. It's like you were willing this between the years. Like these dudes, like, because the previous Olympics was Ryan Lochte was kind of calling you out and he was using you as the measuring stick. And you just went, huh, I'm going to move up one more time, right? As I get on the camera. Like you just moved it again. But you go to Rio, it's like, I mean, you were fit, of course. But it was like, it was up here this time. That was like the greatest display of mental endurance that I think I'd ever seen in an Olympics. Because it was like, I don't know, you came back, you had like a year and a half to train or something?
Yeah, a year and a half to really put into it.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, it was all or nothing. Like for me, it was like at that very moment when I decided to really bite the bullet and come back and do it the right way. I was doing it for myself, and that was really it. Like for me, it was looking back at the loss that I had in 2012 and I can break that race down, the 200 fly from London. Had I hit the first, second, third, or fourth wall halfway decent, I win the race. And then I probably don't come back in 16. So it's like
that was your motivator. That was your motivator.
Reason.
Yeah.
So it's like, like if I'm going to come back, I'm going to come back with intention to do it the right way and hang my suit up how I want to. I don't want to have a what if 20 years down the road and say, damn, I really wish I would have just worked hard for a year. No, I don't ever want to. Why?
So when you
have a chance to be great, and that's all I did.
That's what you.
And I'll tell you, the first 6 months of coming back was probably the hardest 6 months that I've ever experienced in my entire life. I felt like I couldn't swim. I felt like I was racing against my sons. My sons are 7, 5, and 3. For those who don't know, I literally felt like I was learning to swim again. It was the most painful, frustrating. It was awful. It was terrible. I was getting beaten I was almost the world record holder in 100 and 200 backstroke. And I was getting beaten by somebody who can barely float in backstroke.
Yeah.
So it was not good.
So when you hung it up at Rio and you walked out of the pool the last time, what was that emotion?
I did it. My way.
I mean, do you think there'll ever be another person to exceed what you've done? Honestly,
I don't want to say never because it's not right. It's not right to put that on somebody. I'll say it will take a very special mind.
Yes.
And especially in this world, over 5 Olympics. I mean, if you want to do 6, you can stretch it to 6, but still, that's a long time. And to stay at the top where now kids are specializing in events, and it just makes it that much harder.
So they're not doing. There's not a chance for them to win 8 medals, except for in relays, probably, right?
Well, yeah, I mean,
they added some new relays.
They added a few relays. So if you can be, I guess, good enough on the world stand, and you can win you can win 3 or 4 individual gold medals, then yeah, you have a chance. But if you can't do that, then no, it's probably not possible.
So when you're hanging around in Scottsdale and you're seeing John Rahm, one of my clients, and it's how we first met. And, it's so funny. He told a story at his celebration after winning Torrey. Hopefully we're going to do another one. I missed the one for the Masters, but I hope we're going to do another full. They gave me like 3 days notice.
It was so cool seeing the jacket, by the way. Oh my gosh, I have to put that in there. You got the Masters shirt on. I have to say that. It was so epic.
Yeah, I know. I need to. But Kelly texted me. His wife was like, "Hey, we're having a party Tuesday night." I was like, "It's Sunday. Like, I'll do whatever I can to get there, but it's like I can't get there." Like, but we're sitting there, and when John won Torrey, he called me that night, and he goes, "What do I do now?" And I said, "You get your ass back to work.
Yeah.
You get 24 hours to celebrate." And it was funny because he asked you. We were sitting at the bar and we were talking, and he goes, "What did you do after you won?" He said, "I got back to work." Yeah. Because you talked about having a gap, a hole, kind of like in your psyche a little bit when you would leave the Olympics. Because, I mean, you got 4 years to do it again. Talk about what that was about.
It was hard because, right, like you have this point where you work for so long for a small moment and then it leaves and then you're like, oh my gosh, what do I do? For me, my mind always has to go. I always have to be involved and engaged in something, because if not, then it just leads me down a spiral case that I don't want to go down again. Mm-hmm. For me, I can get lost in my own mind, and yeah, it's really simple, but there's so much that I'm passionate about in my life that if I just keep myself engaged in those small things, then I'm going to be the best me that I can possibly be, and that's all I want to be.
And I'm going to ask you about some mental health, because we have a lot of people suffering in this world.
Sure.
We came on, we talked about 1 out of 5 U.S. Americans right now are suffering from mental illness. 1 out of 20 from severe mental illness, 1 out of 5 adolescents in this world. Social media, perfectionism, the standards. I've always said, don't tell me that you want to be like Tiger, like Michael, like Serena. Y'all are the greatest outliers in the history of sports. Okay. That's not a standard. That's like comparing yourself to, Michael Jackson and those types of people. Okay. So when you got into that spot and that mental health was just getting bigger on you and it was taking a toll, give me some insight there, if you don't mind.
Yeah. I mean, when it started getting bigger and bigger, at that moment, what I did, I shoved it. That's all I knew what to do. You know what I mean? Like in 2004,
buried yourself in the water, you went to train.
Sure. Like in 2004, when I really first, I think, encountered depression, so you will, I didn't know what to do with it, right? Like as a male athlete, what am I supposed to do with it? We're not allowed to show that vulnerability. If we do that, then we're showing a sign of weakness. And I wasn't going to do that. So I just shove for 2 decades. And then over time, obviously, it explodes. And then it sends me to 1, 2 DUIs. I'm just in a spiral. I don't want to be alive. I went through a roller coaster of emotions, over a 10-year period, where I got to the point where I was just like, this is it. Like, I have to figure out what the hell is going on, and I have to take control over it. And it was either live like this or live like this and kind of control what you can control. And for me, I wanted to learn. Right. Like for me, just like I did in swimming, right? Like I was trying to be the best that I could possibly be, the best Michael Phelps that I could possibly be, not try to be the next Mark Spitz. I was trying to be the next Michael Phelps. So I want to learn more about me, and I can better myself. At that point, up to 2014, I can say, when I would look in a mirror, or like when I look into a computer screen like this, I would see myself with a pair of goggles and a swim cap on. I would see a swimmer. Not a person, not a human, not somebody with feelings and emotions. So at that point, like, I had to learn what was going on. And I took a deep dive into myself, and it was hard as hell, and spent, 45 days in treatment where I learned, just kind of basically pick and pull all of this shit, so you will.
That's gotta be so vulnerable.
Oh, it was incredible. It sucked at the beginning. It was awful at the beginning.
Oh,
I the very first 5 meals I ate in the cafeteria there, I had my back to the whole entire place and didn't want to talk to anybody, because I was like, fuck this. Like, I don't want to be here. And because I was kind of half on the boat, half on the dock. And
because you kind of had to be there.
I needed to be there.
You needed to be there.
I mean, for me to be here today, I needed to be there. I needed to go. I needed to make myself uncomfortable. I needed to find vulnerability. And for me to do that, I had to go through that. And, I had a friend of mine who, he came up to me that day, and he just talked to me. just kind of put his hand on my shoulder, and it kind of helped me just take a deep breath and let my guard down a little bit. And from that moment on, I will tell you, I mean, did I cry my eyes out? 100%. Did I let go of a lot of things that I compartmentalized for 2 decades? Yes. But I felt so good. I mean, I literally walked out of that place and I felt like a different person. Walking into treatment.
Was that the first time you were
that's when I was in treatment. I mean, I was in group treatment there. And then I left there and had one-on-one. And that was the first time I ever experienced that stuff. And
but that was the first time you probably were not Michael Phelps.
Yeah, it was me for sure. Yeah. I mean, there was a story. It was Monday, whatever Sunday night football or Monday night football game was going on. We were in the common area and we were all watching. And it was the first time that I had ever realized or ever learned that I was getting suspended from the World Championships that summer. USA Swimming had just suspended me from that World Championships. And every single person in that room turned their head and looked at me. And to me inside, I said, fuck this. You're going to see who I am. You're going to see Michael Phelps, the real Michael Phelps, not the person that everybody thinks that is perfect, this, that, and the other. You're going to see me, the vulnerable me. And honestly, ever since then, that's how I've lived, because that's who I am, right? Like, I have to be my authentic self.
Well, you came and spoke to Bama football. That's what was so powerful. As you walked up, it was so endearing because you got up there and you had your notes and you just put down your notes.
I was nervous as shit too.
I know you were nervous. I know you were. But you know what the best part about it was? That's what made it so good. Because the next week we had a very high-profile speaker come in, and it was so scripted. It was so the jokes. What I loved about you, you're like, dude, guys, I'm so fucking nervous.
Yeah.
Like, and they just ate it up because it was like, dude is like real. And the number of guys that came up to you afterwards,
it was incredible.
That was the first time that they're allowed to say, dude, I struggle, man. Like, this shit's hard. And I want people to realize that are listening to this, man. I mean, this is why I love what you do. This is why I love the messaging you're on, the vulnerability to say, listen, yes, I did this. I did all this stuff in my life and I've had all this success, but now I've gone the hard route. I mean, you could be up there and not putting your name on TV screens, talking about mental health and talking about stuff like that. Because when you were one of the very first athletes, because my heart hurts. If you remember, there was an offensive lineman for the Oakland Raiders in the Super Bowl, and he didn't come home to the hotel the night before, because he had a bipolar break. He had a manic break, and they panned him in the media, just ripped him apart. And I remember going into a grocery store and seeing a cover of like People magazine. And on the cover, they had Britney Spears, she'd shaved her head and whatever. And then on another cover, they had this one actor from Grey's Anatomy who had skin cancer. And not that listen, skin cancer survivor, look, I'm all in. But the messaging was so different. It was the circus roadshow of Britney Spears. And let me tell you my story about overcoming skin cancer. And, here you are willing to go out into that world and say, hey guys, listen, I've had some high profile situations. People know about the DUIs. It doesn't take long for TMZ to find that stuff.
But 24 hours for anybody out there. Trust me.
Yeah. You know that. Okay. But you turned that and was like, I'm not running from it. I think it's so powerful. It's so important. And that was the questions I got about doing this is people's like, how do you manage the pressure? How did you manage the stress? Because I always say stress and pressure is relative, right? You competing on the world stage is, coming into your 5th Olympics and what have you, and somebody who's trying to make their high school team, that pressure is relative. Yeah. It's important to them. It's critical to them. And you stuffed it. What would you tell them? What would you tell them as what they can do to help themselves?
Sorry, my water's going down the wrong side. Honestly, like when I heard you talk just now, I instantly thought about my kids. Like for me, what I'm doing now is to hopefully help them, hopefully help the younger generation with whatever they're going through. I would say constantly be who you are. that's a bracelet that I wear that a friend of mine made for me. And it's just be you. That's it. Because if you're not being yourself, then you're cheating yourself. You're not be your authentic self, because that's the reason why you're here, right? Like for me, I'm this, I'll label myself, I'm this quirky, gangly person that was really good at swimming, but also I'm opening the doors in so many mental health ways and changing how we're talking about this, right? Yes. How if you look at mental health, and I remember talking to you at John's party a while back, right? If you look at mental health 10 years ago, no shot in hell we'd ever have this conversation, right? Zero chance. It would be stuffed under the rug, and we would just keep pretending and going on our business, pretending like everything's okay. But now it's on the forefront. Through the pandemic, we have realized that sitting in our own shit, we finally realized and understood that this thing is real. Self-care is real. Things all of these things that make us who we are real. So I would say, live your authentic self, whatever that looks like. Be that person. I have 3 little boys that's what we try to encourage them to do. Live their authentic selves, right? My son and I, Boomer is my oldest son, is obsessed with Pokemon cards. When I say obsessed, I mean, every single day he wakes up and he's like, Dad, we getting some more Pokemon cards soon? I have a friend who sent us I don't know, 2,000 Pokemon cards, and I broke them up into all the boys. And we broke some cards today, and it's just these little small things he's so obsessed about, which is so cool. But it's just for me, it's just I'm scrambling. Go ahead. I'm stopping.
But that's what he likes, right? And you've connected there. You're not forcing him into being an athlete.
No,
You're not forcing him into the water. Yeah,
be him. That's what you have to do. You have to be yourself, right? My mom, for me growing up, didn't force me to go in and swim. I went and swam because I love to swim. Did I struggle? Yeah, of course. If you're not struggling, then it's not real.
Did your coach Bob, was he a super supportive guy, or was he a foot in the ass type of guy?
He was an asshole.
Was he? Okay.
Yeah. And he and I see him now, I always call him Grandpa 2.0, because my kids call him Grandpa. And I'm like, oh, here comes Bob 2.0. He's softer. But it's just different. He's different because for me, I needed that kick in the ass. And for me and a therapist, I needed that kick in the ass too, right? I went through a number of different therapists that were kind of soft for me, and it doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
I'll run all over you. I will literally run laps around you. I need somebody that's going to help me and force me to become accountable.
You need somebody that's going to call your bullshit.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
He did that. So he allowed me to be me, but at the same time, he was saying, if these are your goals, you have to do this, this, this. That was it.
So you had training partners, I'm assuming, right?
100%.
Okay. How much better did they get training with you?
One of them is the reigning Olympic champion in the 400 IM. And I've known him since he was 11. But I was kind of a dick when I was training. I wasn't really the nicest, friendliest, happy-go-lucky person. And I think the reason for that was because I wanted people to be the best self that they could possibly be. And I saw talent in certain people, and I pushed them maybe more than I should have, but I just wanted to push them. So yeah, I love seeing the success that my training partners have had. I have a person who lives with us, an Olympic. She's a 10-time Olympic champion.
And I shared the stage together.
Allison Schmidt. Yes.
Allison, I'm going to be calling her.
Allison Schmidt is a 10-time Olympic champion who also struggles with mental health, who is so open about it. It is incredible to see the work that she's really done post her career. And I'm excited to see what she's going to do moving forward.
Yeah, I am too. Yeah, we had a really nice chat in Colorado Springs.
Yeah, she's the best.
Yeah, she's like, no, I live with Michael. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So when you look at your life now, okay, what are your daily habits that you do every day to help your mental health?
It depends on what kind of mood I'm in, right? Okay. There are some really dark days. On those dark days, I have to know there's a checklist that I have to do every single day to make sure.
Do you know when you wake up, it's a dark day?
Kind of, yeah. Just honestly, as soon as I open my eyes, I know based off the first few, whether it's thoughts, feelings, movements, whatever it might be, I know it's going to be a rough morning. And on those days, I have to make sure that I do the best that I can to start off on the right foot. So on a bad note, like if I'm starting off on a bad day, I have to get in a cold shower or my cold tub that I have. And I just have to ground myself, right? Get back to square, like neutral, because I have 3 kids and they expect me to be a dad every single day, right? Just same thing with my wife. So, you know, for me, it's, I mean, I'm looking at my desk right now. I wish I had a mobile camera. I have, you know, journals here. I have books here. There are a number of different things that I can turn to. Workout is one thing that I have to do to make sure, like for me, taking care of my self-care, if I'm not doing it, I'm cheating myself for everyone out there. And everyone out there is my family. And that for me is why I'm here, right? Like it's something that I have to support and have to, and I love it every single day. But if I'm not being the best me, then I'm not able to do that. So if I wake up and have a bad day, I like writing down the negative things that go through my head.
Love that.
Because
I want people to hear that.
Because like, why, you know, like the negative part is a part of who I am, right? Like you guys have seen like everyone here who knows anything about me, they've seen the negative stuff about my life. That's a part of who I am. So I'm going to write it down because then I can get it out. I'm not stuffing and compartmentalizing it and putting it away for, you know, 3 weeks down the road for it to come back and attack me even harder. I want to get it out. Or I talk to my wife about it, right? Like my wife is somebody who is a very safe, comfortable person for me to talk to. And I encourage people out there who don't have one of those people, find one. Whether it's your best friend, whether it's your mom, whether it doesn't matter, find one. Therapist, whoever it is, find it. It's just small things,
but
right?
That simple act of writing something down.
Oh, it's the best.
It's the best. And I try to tell people to wake up in the morning and journal and or during the day, take notes. I mean, listen, you have just simple note thing on your phone. Just take the notes down if you have to.
But for me, I think there's more power to actually write it down. Because 100%. When you see it with your handwriting, I have shit handwriting, chicken scratch. When I see my chicken scratch, I know what was going through and I can feel it when I'm rereading it. I mean, I have journals upon journals upon journals on YouTube.
Do you go back and reread it? Do you go back?
I do because it's the only way I can learn, right? Like, you know, like the bad days I have now are different than the bad days I had before, but I can still learn something from those bad days and help the bad days now, right? So for me, it's like, I always want to grow and learn. That's what made me the feel swimmer that I was. And that's what made me and gave me the opportunity to be as great as I was.
Are you a reader? Do you read?
I like to listen.
You listen. What do you like to listen to when it comes to like self-help stuff?
Well, I'm looking here because they're all here too. I guess the one thing that I think is, and I love his voice the most, Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. I just feel like there's so much power about living in the moment. And I can look at times in my career where that was a big part of my success, was being able to live in that moment. And having 3 young kids, it's really important because that's what they do every single day, is they live in that moment. That's what I'm trying to learn from my kids more than anything else in the world, because I struggle with that now, you know, reliving stuff from my past and a childhood with my parents and this, that, and the other. And I'm just trying to be, I want to be the best parent that I can possibly be. Right. So for me to live in the moment, to deal with the emotions and the things that they have going on at all times, I have to be able to do that. And for me, his book, I mean, I've listened to that book a dozen times probably.
Yeah, I would endorse that to anybody who's listening. It can be a little out there at times.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's still very helpful.
Take what you can, right?
Yeah,
like, and honestly, for me, like that was a part of the reason why I was able to do what I did in the swimming pool, was because I took things from other swimmers that I saw them doing and implemented that into my everyday life, right? Like
you didn't hit me in the water as somebody who judged themselves very much.
Oh no, but I always wanted to learn.
That's so critical. Like people are so afraid of learning. It's like picking up a book and the vulnerability of reading what you're writing and stuff like that. Absolutely.
Shit, I have no idea what the history I was trying to recreate. I just knew I wanted to recreate history, right? You know what I mean? So again, like it's back to the blueprint. Mark Spitz won 7 gold medals. That was the best anybody had ever done in the Olympic period. That's it. And don't knock it. Like, it was incredible. It was absolutely amazing. And it literally challenged me to do something better. I wanted to do something no one had ever done in the Olympic space. And it took somebody winning 7 to do that. And now, yeah, if somebody wants to win 9, go.
You'll be cheering them on.
100%.
Yeah, because you know what the sacrifice is.
Yes,
you know
I will not sit there and say, no, I don't want my record to be broken. Not a shot in hell.
How many of them are still standing?
Well, I have 1 individual world record that's still standing.
I think you have 2.
Individual?
Yeah, I think you sunk a 159-foot putt in the Alfred Dunhill.
Nope.
That's got broken too?
It got broke. Poulter broke it the year before he signed to live by 2 feet. Honestly, that was the one I was so pissed about. I was more pissed about that one than anything else.
I didn't realize.
I mean, like, I have 2 aces. Like, what else am I gonna have? Like, what else is gonna top that in golf? Right? Like, you know what I mean? Like having the world record for the longest televised putt in history at 159 feet. Are you kidding me?
As a swimmer.
Yeah.
He did better.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be like Poulter going in the pool and beating your records.
But I will say the one individual world record that I still have standing, it's the 400 IM. And I've held that. I think if it goes for 2 or 3 more weeks, will be over 21 years, which will be the longest standing swimming world record ever. And that, honestly, like, that's the one thing that I think would be really cool. You know, like, going out, you know, as a kid, I broke a shitload of records. But being able to hold a record for more than 2 decades is absolutely mind-blowing.
Especially with all the science and the technology and the biomechanics.
But also, the kid that's probably going to break it trains with my coach at ASU. And I swam with his dad back in the early 2000s. So, number one, I'm old as shit.
Your grandpa 3.0.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just so incredible because the kid is a completely different swimmer than I was, right? Like, he's a breaststroker. Like, he swims 4 seconds faster on breaststroke than I did. So he has to make it up in the other 3 strokes. And now he has a different coach than I had. So it's just like how everything is working in life. So you will, it's just wild. But yeah, that's the one record I would love to hold until Paris, because he's a French kid. So in Paris, being able to break a world record that stood for 21 years and to win a gold medal, I would rather prefer to see him do that, because I know the impact that would mean for his country. I mean, like, that's something that the one thing I will say I'm jealous of, being able to swim on your home soil.
Yeah, you didn't get to
in an Olympics, because I never had that chance.
Yeah,
and that was the one thing I always wanted.
I want to ask a couple questions that have come in. One is, can you touch on balancing responsibilities with balancing your mental health? Because, you know, in our world today, the 40-hour work week's not normal. You didn't swim a 40-hour work week. You swam
30.
5 years straight. Yeah,
30. Yeah,
30.
30-hour work week for swimming.
Yeah, but between
40-hour work week total.
Yeah, but planning meals, exercising, thinking, all the other stuff, corporate responsibilities. How did you balance those two?
I guess it was probably just self-care. I mean, like, thinking back, like, to that time when I was that age, like, yes, I was in school, but I mean, I wasn't the normal high school kid. I wasn't the normal college kid, right? So, like, my downtime, my self-care was playing video games, where, you know, now it might be.
Yeah, what do you do now?
You know, like,
you get up, cold plunge, journal.
Cold plunge, journal. I work out. Nicole and I, we have a 2-year-old, 125-pound Great Dane. She's incredible. And Nicole she knows I don't like to walk. I'm not a walker. I've never been a walker. But we've been taking walks in the morning because we know how important it is for her to have exercise. And I'm also a Whoop guy. So, like, for me, knowing stats and stuff, like, I take a 1.5 mile walk and I get a 7.5 strain. For me, walking I've taken more strokes in the swimming pool than I have steps on land. Right. So for me, I have to engage certain things and focus on certain things to make sure everything is in sync. For those of you who don't know, I'm 6'4" and have a 30-inch inseam. I have little tiny squatty legs. So
what's your
6'7" wingspan. So like I'm built for swimming, but walking on land and dry land don't really mesh well with me. So I'm learning, and I have learned a lot through the last 6 years throughout my retirement. But like those things for me, it's nice, right? Like for me, living in Arizona, being able to see a blue sky does wonders for mental health. You know, like living in Baltimore for 20 years, living in Michigan for 4 or 5 years, I didn't see sunshine. So for me, it was difficult. Like seasonal depression, I lived it, and like it's a part of who I am. That's part of the reason why I haven't moved from Scottsdale. Like I absolutely love this place, and it's 6 o'clock out here, and it's blue sky, no clouds. It's incredible.
Yeah. I had a fellowship that I would have gotten at the Mayo Clinic, and I interviewed on February 1st. And I've been living in Providence, Rhode Island, where I did my internship. I could do it for a year, but that was 2 years on audition. And I remember calling my wife saying, I can't do this. We lived in Philadelphia for 14 months. And when the winter would come in, I'd get so depressed. Awful. And even in Birmingham, the grass turns brown in November, and it drives me nuts. Like I have said forever, I may move to Scottsdale in the winter. As a golf guy, I can do that, right? I mean, I know a few guys that are out there.
A couple guys here.
Yeah, you know a couple too. I mean, where would I play? But you know, there's a reason for that, because I get so down, and it's part of the thing for my self-care. I've gotten into a spot now. I go for a 5-mile walk every morning, and my schedule cannot start until that's done.
You have to.
I like to get up in the morning, have a cup of coffee, check the news, just make sure I got to control my anxiety that way. Because
you said schedule, that was something that was really cool, because that's important, right? And like for me, I hate cutting you off, but that was like the key word there is schedule. Like I'm the same exact way, right? Like I'm a routine oriented person. I've been that way for 30 years. I have to be that way. Like if I'm out of a routine, out of a schedule, oh my gosh, I'm like the ogre from Shrek. No good. No good.
I get it. Right? I'm with you.
So like if one small thing is off, like that's something that's important. So if you want to talk about what you can do, hold yourself accountable to that schedule, no matter how you feel, right? There are days when I would wake up in the morning when I was training and competing, and I felt like shit, but I still had to go and do what I had to do. Because if I didn't, I wasn't giving myself the best chance.
Yeah.
I want to learn. I want to be vulnerable. And for me, I think looking back, I was being vulnerable there because I was challenging myself at weak stages where I felt like I couldn't do it. And I proved myself that I could over time, because honestly, like there are days when I go to the gym here, I'm very fortunate. I built a gym here at the house, and I go in there and I stretch for 30 minutes before I do any workout. That's one thing that's so important. And there are times where I feel like blowing it off. But I know if I do that, then I'm going to screw my back up. I'm going to pull a hamstring. I'm going to do something wrong because I'm lifting big weights.
Yeah, I've watched.
And then I'm going to push myself out of it for 4 to 6 weeks. No. So the one word that is so powerful for me that I learned through the pandemic is control. What can you control every single day? We control a lot, more than we can ever imagine.
And the things that we think we need to respond to aren't that urgent.
Correct.
And we give up control when we chase those, don't we?
I'm looking at my text here on the screen. I have 35 texts waiting for.
Since we've been on the call?
No.
Okay.
No, over maybe a month.
Okay.
And I purposely have my read receipts on my phone, because when I open them, I want to make sure I'm ready to engage.
Yes.
I'm ready to give that person what they are asking. And if I'm not, then I'm not being the best me. So it's just something little that I've done just to force myself to be prepared when I'm ready to do it and hold myself accountable.
We had a good question that came in, and it was this. It said, you ever felt sad or not confident about winning while competing? Like you won and you felt down, or you felt like it wasn't your best, but you still won.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if I was prepared and I didn't break a world record, I'd be pissed.
Okay, so that was the goal.
Or like if I didn't hit a time, right? Like if I go to a world championships and I had worked for 2 years to get to that point and didn't hit the time that I wanted, yeah, of course I'm going to be pissed. I'll be upset because like I'll feel like I've wasted those 2 years. When maybe in reality, I've learned a lot in those 2 years and I'm not ready to get faster yet. I went 6 years without missing it, or excuse me, I went 6 years without doing a best time in one event.
Really?
And when I broke through on that event, the floodgates opened up.
So for players that I have that are like banging on the door, just can't break that, I call it the glass wall. They just can't break it. They can see it, but they can't break it. How did you keep going? I mean,
repetitions.
What is it?
Repetitions. That's all.
Okay.
I mean, like
you knew you were going to break it eventually.
Of course. And when I did, like literally,
love that.
I mean, 2006, it was 200 fly. I took off the last wall. A guy and I turned even, and I broke out at the 12-meter mark and was a half a body length ahead of him and beat him by a body length from the last 50. I was just ready. I was just waiting for that breakthrough. And like that's the thing. Like breakthroughs are going to happen when they're meant to happen. Right? Like I was a process-oriented person. So for me, if the process isn't there, I can't expect to be great. Right? Like I've done it multiple ways. I've done it as the most prepared human on the planet time and time again. And I've done it as somebody guessing 50-50 and saying, I hope it goes well. 2012. Look at it right there. Go back and look at my results from 04 and 08 and then go to 2012. That was my fault. I deserved what I got.
Did you ever never feel confident when you got in the water?
No.
No, because you prepared.
Yeah. And honestly, like I was just a competitor. You put me behind the block. Like I didn't care what kind of shape I was in. You were going to get every ounce that I had. Every ounce. I wanted to rip your arms off. It's so hard.
Love that. Bash. So we got Basham, who's our producer, is my teammate here in the mine side. He was an all SEC catcher, massive competitor too. He's got a question for you.
All right, bud.
Okay, good, man. Appreciate you coming on. This has been awesome. So many notes over here, but I told myself if I ever got a chance to talk to you in whatever capacity, I would ask you about, because this is like my favorite sports moment of all time was in 2008, the 4x1, where Lizak came all the way back, and I like because all the French were shit talking at the beginning and stuff like that. But I can remember like exactly where I was, like locked in to that entire race. And like I remember the third leg or whatever, I was like, oh my God, what are we doing? And then so from your perspective, did you ever, like as a human being, I know you're a competitor, like, but you talked a lot about control and like your leg is done at that point. Like all you can do is sit and cheer. Like, was there ever any part of you that was like, fuck, we're gonna lose?
100%. Yeah. I mean, with the 50 to go.
Yeah.
I remember to my head being like, well, shit, I guess this is it. Mm-hmm. Good run. It's over before it really started.
No.
And then within 25 meters, I saw Lizak make a move because I've watched that race 100 times, 1,000 times. Mm-hmm. If you go back and watch it, Bernard jumps on our lane line, which was the dumbest.
I didn't see that. Yeah. Yeah.
Because Lizak basically jumps on his lane line and rides that wake.
Drafts off him, right?
Correct. It's literally like Ricky Bobby's shake and bake. It's the exact example. Like Lizak shake and baked him so hard. It was crazy. So with 25 meters to go, I literally was like, oh shit, we could win this race. And with 15 meters to go, I was like, oh my God, we're going to win this race. Mm-hmm. So a funny story. Dick Ebersol, president of NBC Sports, back in the time when I was swimming, had to cut the audio of my camera. So my guy who was with me, he always covered the middle three lanes, and I spent a lot of my career in those middle three lanes. So he's over my shoulder, and I'm screaming, "Get this MFer! Get this MFer! Get this MFer! Get this MFer!" They cut my sound on that, or they cut our sound on that mic. In live TV, TV cut it because they moved swimming to primetime live TV. End up winning, touching them out. I mean, with 5 meters to go, like when you watch the race again, you can see Bernard. He goes like this, and it completely moves his body position.
Oh.
So when you move your body position that much in swimming, it's basically acting like a speed bump. So he has no way of making that little difference up in that amount of time. And that's why Lizak was able to lunge and get it done. It was I mean, it's insane. You gave
Iconic
me
moment.
feels in my body. It's one of the greatest relay races, if not the greatest ever.
But I think that also speaks to what you were. I mean, you talked a lot about your individual records, but you were also a team guy.
Oh, 100%. You have to. I mean, like for me, like I'll say that's the one thing I miss the most is wearing the stars and stripes. That was one thing that was, made me the most proudest human, period. Having the privilege of carrying the flag out in opening ceremonies was unbelievable. So, for me, I didn't just do it for me. I was doing it for our country. And in a relay, we got 4 guys out there. We all have to do our own thing. We all have to hit our own relay exchanges the exact time, right? Like, and if so I might lose you here, but if I'm like 0.2 off the relay, so it's 0.2 of a second off the relay or off the exchange, that might be too slow and that might cost us the race. So we're trying to manufacture like a 0.08. A 0.08 is like perfect. And that's somebody touching to the feet leaving. Like we're working in hundreds of a second. It's so important, especially.
And how much do y'all practice that? Because y'all are training in different centers. When do y'all start coming together and start practicing that?
Yeah, so like for me throughout my career, I mean, it was the same group of guys almost the entire time, right? Like the 4x1, we had a handful of guys that changed in and out over a 20-year span. The 800 free relay, it was the same 3 guys, and the other guy just kind of meshed with us. But I think at that point, like it's really all about being you. Right. Because in that moment, you're in that position for a reason. Right. Like those guys who were on that final deserve to be on that final. They've earned that chance. So they have to find that ability to be in that matrix. So like I say that in a way, like there are some guys who like to joke. Me, don't talk to me. Give me my headphones, shut up, leave me alone. Right. And that's okay. But we all have to do what we have to do in order to produce the best exact results. And that's what we did. We had the best guys every single time. We get camps that work together, like for an Olympics, we're together a month in advance. So we're trying those relay exchanges. I'm taking a jump from every single person I possibly can just to feel like what their stroke rate's going to be. If they're tired, what's it going to be like? Like if they hit it short, if they hit it long, because all that matters with momentum, right? Once you get that momentum going, it's hard to stop it, right? Like again, like sorry, like
no, I get it.
I talk about this all the time, but like in golf, right? Like you're literally working in a millimeter. For us, we're working in hundredths of a second.
Yeah, so Bash and I came from the baseball world. We always talk. I mean,
I totally get everything you're saying from.
A ground ball hit to the shortstop is bobbled by just a quarter second. The guy's
millimeters, centimeters, that sort of thing is the difference in winning and losing at times. And
all right, so I got an offbeat question before I let you go. There's a very iconic video of you sitting at the 16th tee at the Masters, at Augusta National.
That photograph is autographed right here.
Okay, did you have to stand in line and run to get down there? Oh no, I'm sorry, you can't run.
Yeah, you can't. So it's a crazy story. So that was the first time I ever went to Augusta. And the people that were standing at that tee box, they sit there every single year or every other year or something. It's just a tradition like any other. They have that there.
And everybody respects it, don't they?
Correct. And they happen to be from Baltimore. They saw me walking and just said, "Hey, do you want to sit here?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Like, I'll come back in a minute." 30 minutes later, like, a buddy of mine and I, like we happened to time it perfectly, and Tiger's hitting and damn near almost holes it. The thing that really bummed me out is I had to go to the bathroom, and the group beforehand was JT, and he aces it there. he aced one right there in 19. So I missed him acing it. We're literally standing there, and I was like, oh, somebody just made a hole in one. And then
Standing at the
because
urinal.
we don't have our phones, which was so
Of course.
incredible,
No.
right? Like we have no idea who it was. I was like, oh shit, it was JT.
You talk about vulnerable
Who's my
place to
homie?
be.
Who's my
vulnerable
homie?
place to be is Augusta National with no cell phone in today's world.
Oh, bro.
Awful.
The first 5 minutes for me, I was freaking out.
Yes.
And then I was like, oh my gosh, this is the most amazing thing in the world, because people were stopping me and they'd be like, hey, can I have a photo? I'd be like, yeah, sure. How are you going to take it?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? I get to experience really what it's meant to be. And I think that's why I loved it so much. And also why I was so pumped, obviously seeing Johnny win it this year.
Oh my God.
You know, like that was sends goosebumps up my body just talking about it. Especially him having a 4-putt on one. Jeez.
I know. It's so funny. People grab me because one of the things with John is, and he doesn't care what I say, during tournament weeks, I just kind of let him run.
Yeah.
Because he corrects himself so good. Every once in a while we'll chat and things. But people were like, oh my God, would you say? I'm like, you didn't have to say nothing to John Rahm after 4-putting. It's just a fighter getting punched in the mouth, man. He was ready to go.
His mind, I mean, and as you know, right, like just seeing it change really over the last 4 or 5 years to me has been incredible to watch. He's a special mind. He's a special breed. His talent level is second to none. It's basically in his control. Like I won't say what I texted you after he won, but
I know
he's going to blow these things off. It's going to be fun to watch, man.
It's going to be fun. And the cool thing is, what I love about what John does is he surrounds himself with like you or JJ or
good people,
good people, and he's learning. He's just like you. He's sucking it all up and learning as much as he can.
He's asked me so many incredible questions that at his age I could not imagine asking. So I think it just shows you kind of where he's at and where he's trying to go. It's really it's incredible to watch. I'm a kid in a candy store watching them. Man.
We'll get together. I'm gonna come out there in the fall at some point, and I'll let you know. We'll get together, dude. I can't thank you enough for this.
No, you're good, homie.
Parting shot on mental health. We need to get in the legislative side and get treatment and access better. We need to get better treatment centers and not make it so freaking hard. If we could get everybody 2 visits a year with a therapist like we do to go to the dentist, it would help out a little bit. But I know you have avenues for that. So,
but like, look, like, and
talk about it. Sure.
But I'll even say, like, coming from somebody who has spent 45 days in a treatment center in a really, really dark place, and I'm in a good place now. Like, I'm not in a great place, but I want to go back and do like a week program or a 2-week program, because it's kind of like a checkup, right? It's just always trying to learn and grow. So if you think you know something, I will say keep challenging yourself to go more, right? Go farther than you could ever think. That's what I did in my career, and that's what I'm trying to do on dry land. I want a chance to be the best me that I can possibly be. And to be honest, I can say this. I think my best self is out of the pool. I broke 39 world records. I won 28 Olympic medals. Great. Am I downplaying it? Not at all. It was an amazing accomplishment. I loved every moment of it. But I think what I am doing outside of the pool will impact the world greater than anything I could ever do inside the swimming pool.
I totally agree with that. And
that's
we need it right now, man. We need it.
100%.
Thank you.
I mean, I'll say I have 2 bracelets. One says "Be you," and the other one says "It's okay not to be okay." Those are the 2 things I live by in life. I challenge you all to use those things in your life every single day, and just be who you are. Find a way to be your authentic self. And if somebody around you doesn't like it, I want to flick the camera off, but like tell the person to fuck off, then that person's not right for you. Correct. Look, like I've had some close friends where I've had to kind of weed through things, because for me, I have goals that I want to achieve in life. And if somebody else is trying to block that, they're not right for me. And they might be a friend, but that's okay. For me, my thing is about my family and trying to accomplish the goals and the dreams that I have, period. That's it. I was selfish throughout my career. I guess I'll be selfish in this way. I go like this because my family is out here. I'll be selfish in that way, because that's the number one most important thing.
I've always said it's nothing wrong with being selfish. Self-centered is a problem.
Correct.
Selfish, though, because we have to be good to make other people good.
Correct.
And we got to take care of ourselves first. Michael, thank you so much, man.
Thanks, buddy.
Have a great night. Tell Nicole I said hello, and
for sure.
And we'll be in touch soon. Okay.
Happy Memorial Day, everybody, and have a good weekend.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Bhrett. Good to see you, buddy.
All right, man. Bye. Oh, man, that was powerful, Bash. That
Dude,
was.
are you kidding me? He spent an hour and 15 minutes with us.
I know.
This is outstanding.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah, and dude, I got my question in.
You got your question in?
I gotta ask it.
I gotta tell you. I gotta tell you. So when I was in pharma, very first meeting I ever went to, I didn't know where your question was going, and I loved it, by the way. But this guy raised his hand. We had Jim Lovell, who was the captain of Apollo 13, giving the talk I was at. And they go, any questions? And this guy raised his hand in the back. He had been thinking of this question for 30 years. And he goes, can you explain to me why we didn't use the ultra technology aluminum foil on the inside of the Apollo 13 spacecraft? It was like so far out of the line. I loved what you asked. Like, did you think you were going to lose?
Well, I've always wondered that.
Oh, God, yes.
He's the greatest of all time. If they, that's a millimeter away from him not breaking the record.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was in the second race of that Olympics. But also, I didn't get a chance to ask him this, but when he was talking about it, he was talking about preparation and when the shit happens, he practices that. You in that same Olympics, he dives into the water and his goggles fill up with water.
God. Oh man, he just sent a text, said that was awesome. I got chills.
It's incredible.
Y'all, I hope this is good. We're gonna bring in some guests. Send us some messages of who you want. We'll do it. I can't thank Michael for taking the time on a Sunday night of Memorial Day weekend to come and talk about something so important in mental health, critical for us. Bash and I have both talked about our own struggles with anxiety, times that we probably get down in the dumps and a little depressed at times, and feed off and support each other in that. And this is so critical. Anybody who's going through it, ask for help. Keep going. And more to come. When's our next Mental Game Live? I'm kind of speechless. When's our next Mental Game Live?
Yeah, we're flustered. We got to get back into it. There it is. Next Sunday, a week from today.
Sunday, June 4th. All right, listen, y'all have a great one. Please, this has been recorded, right? We double, triple.
Oh yeah, it automatically records when I hit go live. So we're
thank God, because I was hoping the whole time. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you follow us on our social media channels. We're going to be putting out excerpts all week. This was fantastic. Thank you again to Michael. Thanks to everybody who joined us tonight. Go out there and have a great week this week, please.